Hi, my name is Bryson Bort. I'm the founder and CEO of a startup called SCYTHE. And I'm here to talk to you about what are 5 things you can do to help yourself with ransomware. We do a lot of work with ransomware because we're a platform that allows businesses of all different sizes and levels of maturity and insight into cybersecurity test their own defenses easily with realism, repeatability, and at scale. So the first point is protecting yourself. And the best way to protect yourself is to have backups. All right, so it's easy just to say to have a backup, but you really need 2 strategies for backups. You need a hot backup that you have locally that you can work with easily, and then you have what's called a cold backup. So just like you would have a disaster recovery plan, this is where data is far enough off site that if something happens to your physical premise, you still have your data safe. So that's a cold backup. That's not something you're gonna have done daily. It's more of like a weekly to a monthly thing. But why this is relevant for ransomware is attackers know you're backing up. So if they can get to that data, which of course is part of where the local hot backup is, then they're gonna try to destroy that. The cold backup is your fallback plan. But just having backups isn't enough. You gotta test them. There is no worse feeling in the world than go into a backup that you need and it's not there when you need it. Second, configuration management. Know your assets. You can only defend and work with what you know is in the organization. So having a way to continually understand what new assets are coming in, hardware, software, all those different pieces, and then the latest state of them. This matters not only because then when we think about what we're defending, it also matters when we're trying to patch. So the next big vulnerability, like what's been in the news, Log4j comes out, we're aware of what might be affected and we can work with that. Then we have to continually test and validate. It's not enough to just put these things in place. We want to make sure that our defenses are actually working. Turns out, 1, you can't just trust what a vendor says, and 2, you need to make it work for you. And so that's part of what's going to come out of this is by doing this continuous testing, you're going to make that security your security. Part of this testing approach is you want to use what's called assume breach. Just like we see all the time, hackers that are attacking eventually get in. So how do we do something about that? Well, whenever we're testing or looking at our own defenses, we make the assumption that they've already breached us. So that's the assume breach. And we start working from a space of what can they do next. There's several factors that come out of this that are interesting. 1, whatever they do next once they breached you is the part that has the risk to you. So if it's ransomware, then how they move through your organization and what their ransomware and what those impacts are directly relevant rather than just understanding that they got in. The other part is that it's also what you can control. Those are your assets with your communication protocols and your things. So you have control over them. And then the final piece is make sure you're training your people. Your staff needs to be trained on what those processes are. Your employees need to have awareness so that they're a part of the solution as a part of the problem. And the last piece is make sure that training is aligned to what your business needs.